I wanted to make a memorial video of a very special dog I adopted 4 years ago named Walle. He had been at the shelter for 8 months. No one wanted him. This was his intake picture. They finally cut his hair and reposted his ad, and it's funny that this was the day I saw him online. I didn't see him previous because I wasn't looking. When I went to go get him, it was so sad. He was living on a concrete floor with no bed. I found this video to help you see what it was like for Walle. This dog is living on a cement floor and has no idea why he's in there. No familiar faces, and with regards to Walle with being blind, you could only imagine how scared he was. This is what it felt like walking into that prison and seeing all these poor dogs with nothing to lay on. And if you see that drain in the kennel, that's what they would do to Walle. They would just spray out his kennel with him in it, and he would be sopping wet, and then he had no bed to lay on. It was just so sad. It's called laziness and lack of care. There are thousands and thousands of dogs that are euthanized every year. I have to stop myself from getting angry at the previous owners. All of the kennels that I saw looked more like this video, where they were just full of poop. The dogs were living in their feces, and it was so unsanitary. It was just really, really unhealthy for these dogs to be living like that. And like I said, they would just spray out the kennels. The dogs were still in the kennels. They would just be soaking wet. It made me so angry. As I was saying earlier, I have to keep myself from getting angry at the owners that put these dogs in the shelter, because you just never know what someone's going through, and it's really easy to judge. But there are situations where these dogs and the owners have no choice, and that was Walle's story. And when I picked up Walle, I asked what his history was, if they knew, and they said his previous owner was a very old man with Alzheimer's disease, and the kids of the man decided to put him in a home because he was getting so bad that he could not take care of himself or his dog, and they didn't have time to take care of him or the dog, so they let him go to a senior living center, and so they put the dog Walle in the animal shelter. So this was very similar to what I feel like Walle's life would have been like. So Walle went from this to a cement floor. So me and my little boy brought him home. This was the picture of the day I brought him home, and he looks quite big, but he was only 4 pounds, super tiny. He became friends with our cat, Mr. Hobbs, and just really attached himself. I went and got him groomed, and this was his first grooming picture, and he was just the cutest little thing. He had 4 teeth is all. I had to take and get the rest of them removed because they were so rotten and broken that he couldn't eat anything. And he doesn't look skin and bones because of all of his hair, but he was so skinny, and I had to syringe feed him 3 to 4 times a day. I would make this mash, feed him through a small syringe to make sure he was getting enough nutrition. His tongue would hang out of his mouth because he had no teeth to hold it in. But he did wear a diaper because he leaked and peed. He was not potty trained. Like I said, he was blind and deaf. Didn't know where he was. Brand new home.
Number 2.
Number 2, what does that mean?
Has a fever.
He has a fever?
Uh-huh.
Oh shoot, what are we gonna do about it?
He feels better.
He does?
Uh-huh.
We had lots of other dogs, and he didn't really seem to want to be around them. He wanted to be with me. He was very attached to me, and I was his comfort blanket. He might have been blind and deaf, but he could sniff me out with his nose, and I could never hide from him. He literally found me anywhere I was in the house. If you look at his back left leg, it sits flat on the floor. If you see him walking around, he'll hold it up. The reason why is he had a grooming accident, and they snipped his tendon, and so he could never have use of his back leg. So he was basically a 3-legged dog, not potty trained, blind, deaf, no teeth. I changed his diapers 4 to 7 times a day depending on the day, and it was a lot of work. He about had a heart attack while I was gone all day. He didn't know what he was going to do, huh? Poor guy. You need a bath again, huh, dude? Yeah. This video was taken the day after my son was born, and we did not stay in the hospital long. We came home pretty quickly, and you can see he's right there with me, a little tongue hanging out of his mouth. He was obsessed. Loved my little boy. He would lay by him all the time, and he was just the sweetest dog. You can see his eyes, how goopy they are. This would happen every single day. I had medication for him. I was cleaning out his eyes all the time, and this picture was a week before I ended up having to put him down. You could just see it in his face. He was just not doing well. And it was such a hard day. Having to pick up the phone and make a call to the vet to schedule him to be put down was the hardest thing for me. And the day I did it, I was devastated, but I knew it was the right thing. I brought him home and wrapped him in his favorite blanket that he would always lay on. I just held him and hugged him for a while. Rescuing a senior dog from the shelter just made me realize how special and how much love they give you. If any of you have ever had to bury a pet, you know digging that first hole and putting that first pile of dirt on them is so hard, because you know this is it. He's in the ground now, and it just is a rush of emotions in so many ways. All the memories that you've had with them, and yeah, it sucks, but I wanted him to have a proper burial, and I will miss him always. This dog loved me more than any other dog I've ever owned, and I only had him for 3.5 short years, but he was grateful because he knew he got a second chance and he was loved so much by our family. This is the finished little place right here. So I'll get some flowers and maybe a tree, and we'll plant right there. So this is where he's going to be.